Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with another part of What If Naruto Was the 5th Hokage. And before continuing this series, I have an announcement. Today is going to be a double upload. So yeah, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, let's continue our story. Naruto banged his head into his desk as Sasuke stood in front of him with a slight smirk on his face. Now, why was this? You might be asking. It was because the Uchiha was but the first of many meetings he was having today. After that meeting yesterday, everyone had bombarded him on his way to his office, and he kindly told each and every one of them that he'd meet with them all individually today. What he didn't think was that they'd all be camped outside his office when he got out of his room in the mansion. While his office was on one side of the top floor, his bedroom was hidden away within a secret underground palace. No, seriously, the freaking palace was a palace and it was all his since he didn't have any family to live with him. Well, it was only him until Jiraiya moved in, but the white-haired man wasn't really around much. Tsunade and Shizune had moved into the Senju clan compound, which was on the completely opposite side of the Uchiha clan. His place of a home may have been underground, but it looks like it was at top of the world. But just how spacious it was. Jiraiya said it was made to house the Hokage's family in times of war. So since all the previous Hokages had clans for families, it was made to be something of a clan compound. Naruto really didn't care, as the first question to leave his mouth about the place was, "Got any ramen?" Well, there was no ramen, but back to the matter at hand. So they were camped outside of his office, literally camped. Sasuke must not have left because he was the only one sleeping without a blanket over sleeping bag. When Naruto had got there, he tried so hard to get into his office quietly and not have to deal with them. But that damn Ino and her sexy man senses had to ruin it. Oh well, kill Ino later. Deal with Sasuke's crap now. Link break. So what do you want? Naruto said as he sat back and gave Sasuke an irritated look, while the Uchiha only smirked as the door closed on the faces of Kakashi and Ino, who had been directly behind him. Not much really, just to say that you may be our Hokage now, but you'll always be our dope and dead last, Sasuke said as Naruto's eyebrow twitched. He sighed, though, as he had long since known that was Sasuke talk of congrats and "I'm so proud of you." Yeah, he knew the Uchiha bastard would die of sudden loss of ego if he said anything along those lines. "So, anything I can help you with?" Naruto asked, but immediately regretted his choice of words as Sasuke actually grinned and got a really weird and dark gleam in his eyes. Yes you can. Now that you rule of this village, we can finally do what the Sandam wouldn't. Take down Itachi, Sasuke said as he placed his hands on the edge of Naruto's desk. Naruto sighed as he sank into his seat. How was he going to tell Sasuke about Itachi without snapping what little sanity the bastard had left? "Listen, Sasuke," Naruto said carefully and calmly as Sasuke interrupted. "Wait, I know it's a stretch and that you have an entire village to run, but if you could just get me some training and..." Sasuke said quickly so he could persuade Naruto into giving him the training. He could take anything Naruto had to offer, even if it was Uncle. Man, did that name send a shiver down his spine? Worse than Itachi? No, Sasuke, you have to understand. Okay, I get it. Maybe you could just throw a few Jonis my way and have them train me on their off time. Plus, if I were to say, bring Itachi mutilated corpse back to the village, it'll boost morale. And Sasuke, Itachi isn't... I know he's not the main priority right now, but if he keeps roaming around as insane as he is, then he bounds to come back like he did already. He kicked Kakashi Sensei's ass, and now he's traveling around in a black cloak with red clouds on it. That just screams insane psycho killer vibes. He's probably coming back to slaughter another clan because he's bored. Sasuke, he's not even... I know, but not even a real problem. But you gotta let me have this, Naruto. He killed our entire clan for no reason. None at all that I think of. No rhythm, no rhyme. He just went completely batshit on them. Do you even know what he puts me through? The last thing I saw him was he attacked me with a duck and then made me listen to him sing inside his Tsukiyomi about how he killed our clan. I can still remember the words to his damn song. It was so horrifying. Sasuke said as he reached across the desk and grabbed Naruto by his ropes and he held him at least 2 inches from his face, with Naruto giving him a blank look as the Anbu in his office already had placed in position to strike or stab Sasuke's major organs. Naruto waved them off back into the shadows as Sasuke still held him. Are you going to let me go and tell me the damn song? Naruto said deadpan as Sasuke blinked twice and let him go and muttered apology. So the song? Naruto asked as Sasuke shivered a bit. It was about how he killed our clan and he liked it. He said they were so gullible, soft skinned, red eyes, so cuttable. He said that he didn't even know their names and that they were just experiment for his mangekyo. He said he got so brave, sword in hand, that he lost his digression. He sang about how he had been planning it for months. He's a psychotic family murderer with a catchy beat to his madness. He must be stopped, Naruto. Sasuke said as he paced the floor of Naruto's office while Naruto only stared at him with a look. Okay, listen Sasuke, there is something I need to tell you, Naruto said leaning forward as Sasuke turned to him. Hold on a second. Because that wasn't even the worst part of it all. He lied and said he was ordered by Anbu. Then he said that he was so confused about it all and that he hoped that I didn't mind it. Oh, and then he said he didn't it to fuel a plot device. A plot device, Naruto. Sasuke shouted as he knew no one outside of Naruto's office could hear them. That, however, didn't mean they couldn't hear the Anbu chuckling in the shadows at his outburst. Damn the Anbu for seeing him having a nervous breakdown. Yeah, well, I don't know about the whole plot device thing, but I need to tell you something, Naruto said as chair made of wooden molded from the floor and was in front of his desk. Sasuke only stared it as Naruto motioned for him to sit on it. How did you? Sasuke asked as his eyes locked on with Naruto's chair that he made with wide eyes. It's the senju in me, Naruto said as he quickly came up with something Sasuke would believe. After all, the elders did reveal that he was a distant senju. Sasuke simply nodded as he sat down. Plot Itachi's death first. Question Naruto's abilities later. Yeah. First, I want to tell you about what you'll become if you allow Itachi's action that day to drive you, Naruto said as Sasuke had to blink to be sure it was Naruto. Hell, he even muttered a Kai and activated his Sharingan to be sure to cool, calm and collected person that was leaned forward with hands clasped together was really Naruto. Okay, what is it? Sasuke asked hesitantly as he mentally slapped himself. This was Naruto, but even so, how had Naruto gotten so mellow? Was he secretly working with Itachi? No, of course not. But what if Itachi was controlling Naruto's action with the Sharingan? That would be impossible, yet still extremely easy. Hey bastard, I'm talking to you! Naruto shouted as Sasuke jumped slightly. Okay, he was the real and un-Itachi controlled Naruto, alright. Now, as I was saying, yesterday I had, for lack of a better words, vision. Naruto began as Sasuke leaned forward, intended on hearing every word. Flashback, yesterday sometime after the council meeting, Naruto walked through the streets as the people bowed to him or gave him kind greetings of Good evening Hokage-sama, or how are you Hokage-sama. He wasn't really sure what to say because he had never been treated so warmly by the same people that just 2 months ago would have called him so many variations of the phrase demon brat or something else. He settled for waving back with a kind smile and greeting them as well. As he walked down the streets, he felt more as if he was in a festival the way his people were clamoring to him. He chuckled slightly at the thought while 2 children ran past him, playing some form of game. You won't win this time, big brother. I'll destroy you. Ha ha ha, the younger kid said as he chased after his big brother. You can't beat me. I'll have your eyes. Yeah, those. Ha ha ha, the older brother said as Naruto suddenly stopped, frozen in his spot as his eyes went from their mirthful cerulean blue to the distinctive light purple that was his Kami Diagon. Unknown area. Naruto wasn't sure where he was, but it was clearly a forest of some kind. The trees seemed to be that of Fire Country, but he wasn't sure where. Just then he saw someone, but his eyes suddenly widened at who he saw. It was himself. Okay, well, not exactly himself, but he knew it was him. He was the only ninja to go out in orange after all. Though this him was taller and had on orange and black, it was still him. Damn, I look good, but do I really look like that in orange? I mean, it works for me, but I think I'll get a wardrobe change when this is all over. And to think I was actually gonna get my Kage robes in orange, or at least an orange Haori, Naruto said as he walked up to himself, only for the guy not to notice him. Oh well, it had to be an illusion after all, I was just in the middle of my village. Though, the other Naruto took off, and fast too. Naruto had blinked and the other him was already a good distance away. A normal speed? No, flash step. I guess I better follow. Naruto pondered as he jumped to a tree and saw himself stick. That meant only people in the illusion couldn't be touched then. The other Naruto jumped down from a tree branch, landing steadily on his feet as he gazed around. Naruto had landed beside him just as he quickly hid himself behind a tree trunk while peering past the bark. Naruto didn't even bother to hide as he stepped out and looked. There was a pair of Sharingan eyes that stared out from the bushes just a few meters away as Naruto's eyes widened. Sasuke! Naruto gasped as Itachi Uchiha stepped out into the clearing of the area they were in. Naruto's breathing caught in his chest as he thought Itachi had really heard him, but it seemed that wasn't the case as Itachi was staring at the tree instead of him. Come out! Now, Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi said in a sort of lazy monotone as the illusion Naruto gulped and stepped out from behind the tree. Let me guess, you're here to capture me, right? Naruto said as Naruto didn't even bother hiding his surprise. He couldn't easily tell this was some sort of future, but did that mean Itachi would betray him in the future? No, I just want to talk with you, Itachi said with a face that screamed calm, cool, and composed. The real Naruto actually snarled as he gazed at Itachi. Really? Because it's never that simple, Naruto said, but then thought about things and calmed down. Actually, you never know in this world of shinobi, Naruto said with a slight chuckle at his own joke. The two Naruto clones leapt down from the branches, kunai poised and ready to stab as they proceeded towards the bored-looking Uchiha. Whoa! Naruto exclaimed as he gazed at the two clones now rushing Itachi. I didn't even notice them. When did I make them? Yet, with a small flash of movement, Itachi had flung two kunais, dispelling them both like it was nothing but a warm-up. Apparently, Itachi did thought. Huh. Naruto that meant as he knew the Uchiha would have been on to a such plan. Yeah, right. Naruto snarled definitely as he glared at Itachi. Like I'd ever trust you. Okay, now Naruto knew this was either a distant future or a parallel version of a distant future, because he was pretty sure he could trust Itachi to do just about anything for him. Hell, the guy killed his family in the name of peace and the village. Naruto was pretty sure Itachi would do nothing to have just a sliver of Naruto's kindness. Though Naruto hated to admit it, he found out that he needed to manipulate most people to motivate them to do things, and of the people, Itachi was no exception. Naruto really hated the force he had to apply on people to do things they didn't want to, but he figured, why not give an incentive to make them think they were the ones who really wanted to do it? He was the one who was developing his ways of manipulating, especially Itachi. He was also finding a way to manipulate Itachi and promise of his return to village and reuniting him with Sasuke, along with killing Madara Uchiha and revealing the truth of what was really going on during that time. Oh, didn't Chihoba-sama teach you anything about fighting the Sharingan? You're really all alone here, huh, Naruto? You're supposed to run, Itachi said as he eyed Naruto with an extreme amount of disinterest, while he slowly raised his hand, making his Akatsuki ring visible. Now Naruto was sure that it was the future, because he had never in his life met anyone named Chiho, especially an elder lady Chiho. Though he resigned to simply watch this confrontation before he killed the real Itachi for this, if it were to happen. Whatever, Naruto cut in as his expression grew fierce and real. I can become a number anywhere from 1 to 1,000. He yelled as Naruto simply rolled his eyes. Am I really that arrogant, or was that just the old man and me thinking? Naruto muttered as he gazed at the Naruto in front of him. Yup, this guy's definitely what I would have turned out to be had my life taken a different path. Though, what diverges the two I have yet to know, Naruto said as he stroked his chin and began thinking. Itachi simply observed him for a moment before speaking. You're obsessed with my brother. Naruto shuddered as he looked like someone had just smacked him. Okay, when you put it that way, it sounds a little weird, creepy, and stalker-ish, if you ask me. Naruto said as he was sure that if Sasuke were watching this with him, the Uchiha would have been edging away until he could run like hell. So if Kiba were here, he'd probably be burst out laughing and rolling his ass on the ground. Itachi simply ignored the look Naruto was giving him in favor of continuing. Why? He's gone rogue, abandoned his village and friends, and has even resolved to kill you. Naruto gritted his teeth as he gave Itachi a look while whispering, To hell he will. Naruto's face tightened as his face filled with conviction as he spoke. We may not be blood, but he's more of a brother to me than you ever were to him, he said as he charged Itachi with a roar. Naruto frowned as he thought the version of himself was a bit much. Really, just charge Itachi, kill his whole clan in one night by himself, Uchiha? That was the plan this version of himself came up with? Really? Though, when he saw Itachi actually smile, he had a feeling it was a mixture of Naruto's words and a bit of that. I'm about to make a fool out of you, Uchiha spirit. They all seem to have. Hell, even Kakashi had it in him. With a flicker of his cloak, innumerable crows sprang into being, surrounding Naruto in fluttering wings. Why is it always birds with him? Anyways, Naruto muttered as Itachi's Sharingan spun. You already are within my genjutsu. Itachi's disembodied voice said from every direction as his body reformed within the mass of crows. Seconds later, I'll say it again, I just want to talk, Itachi said as Naruto's eyes rolled. Then in a flash of speed, a crow separated itself from the flock and flew into Naruto's mouth and down his throat. Naruto's eyes widened a second as he had seen the whole thing. What the hell? It looks like he stored something. I saw a brief flash of chakra there, but what was that? Naruto questioned as Naruto collapsed and Itachi dissolved into a cloud and black crow feathers, which slowly disappeared. There was a bright light that engulfed everything within Naruto's vision, and then everything went dark. Another unknown area. Naruto blinked his eyes at finally having light again. He looked around and saw Itachi face down on the ground, Sasuke battered and tired just a few meters away, grunted, slowly drawing himself up from the ground as his Sharingan faded back into Onyx black eyes. Naruto could easily tell this guy was Sasuke because no one else had that black hair, the kind they all secretly made fun of behind his back, the kind that looked like a duck was sitting atop his actually bald head. Though the clothes were different, and he felt evil and cold. Naruto knew that was Sasuke's duck-ass hair a mile away. It's done. It's finally over, Sasuke said as realization finally dawned on him. Naruto had no clue that what he was talking about. Because of the evil and mad gleam in his eye, he was kind of disgusted and afraid. That was at least until he took a look around. The completely vaporized building, the destroyed land around the area, the plant guy watching from a safe distance while half sunken into the ground. Naruto sighed as he jumped and landed right next to the freaky plant dude. Yup, this place just screamed Uchiha Battle Royale. Naruto looked to see that Itachi was as good as dead, which meant that Sasuke had finally succeeded in killing him. So, why does he look so empty, evil, and cold? Naruto mused as he watched Sasuke, from a mile away. Is this the end you had imagined for me? Came a voice as all three watchers turned to see Itachi standing up. What? No way! Naruto shouted as he could practically feel the power of some kind of mega jutsu still in the air. It was like a god-level Chidori had been done, and if Itachi was hit by it, and it caused all the damage around them, then just what had allowed Itachi to survive? Or maybe the stories of super badass Itachi were true. Sasuke whirled around as Itachi coughed up blood, while standing up steadily. Sasuke changed the curse mark transformation and transforming him into something. Naruto didn't knew what to call him except monster. How dare you live! Sasuke shouted out in mirage of bones surrounded Itachi. The elder Uchiha brother smiled as he gazed at Sasuke. If I hadn't had this, I would be dead. You really have gotten stronger, Sasuke, Itachi said proudly as he stood tall. This time, I shall show you my final trump card, the Susanoo, the god of storms. Naruto heard the blonde guy whisper, or at least half of him, the black half. Naruto wasn't sure what Sasuke would do as he had paused, and then screamed while 8 titanic snakes erupted from his body, where the curse mark was. They were all hissing excitedly towards the older Uchiha and his divine protection. What the hell? Naruto demanded as he gazed up at the thing, jumping in front of it to get a better look at the two giant bodies. Was this a bell or a freaking magic show? The way they were pulling out transformation and guards, judging by the feel of it, that's Orochimaru 8-headed serpent jutsu. Itachi murmured as the snake attacked, and Itachi had Susanoo decapitated all of them. It was so fast, Naruto was sure that if he had blinked at that exact second, he would have missed it. Though one of the heads, the main one if Naruto had to guess, slowly regenerated while opening its mouth widely, revealing a top naked Orochimaru. Naruto was sure that that would be stuff of his nightmares for a while. Finally, Itachi said triumphantly yet still in monotone, "It emerges." Naruto raised an eyebrow at the statement. He had wanted to draw Orochimaru out, but why? And why was Orochimaru inside of Sasuke's curse mark anyway? Orochimaru simply laughed maniacally from inside the white snake mouth as he pulled out his sword, Kusanagi, from his own mouth. "This is it. This is what I have been waiting for. Thanks to you, Sasuke's repression chakra is gone. And now I can take over this child's body," and Orochimaru said, sounding as insane as he looked to Naruto as he stared down at Itachi with a maddening gleam in his snake-like eyes. A stream of power struck Orochimaru through the chest. "Eh? Huh?" Orochimaru said as the blade of Susanoo was impaling him. "Well, Sasuke, what next?" Itachi said almost in a bored monotone as the blade of the Susanoo sucked in Orochimaru and his snake body, sealing him for all eternity. There was silence for a moment, just from the pure shock of what had just happened, but Naruto had gotten quickly over it. "Well," Naruto said slowly as he blinked. "That was anticlimactic, seriously." So, as soon as the words left his mouth, he felt the world speed up around him. He understood and remembered every single word that had been spoken, and action that was taken while in the state of fast forwarding. He was just about to question if he was secretly do drugs in his sleep. The world went back to normal. Another unknown area. Naruto looked around to see that he was inside some sort of secret room. Sasuke was on the bed just waking up from whatever had happened. Though Naruto summarized that it was probably his battle with Itachi that he was healing from. Naruto had to admit that if he fought Itachi like that, then he'd seem to heal as well. Sasuke's eyes slowly opened as a voice behind Naruto spoke. "I treated your wounds," it said as Naruto turned quickly to where it was coming from. Sasuke bolted upright into a sitting position as his hand had already gone through hand scenes. "You won," the voice clearly man said as a man stepped out of the shadows, wearing an orange spiral mask over his face and Akatsuki cloak. "Who's this we have here?" Naruto said with narrow eyes as he was sure it was the plant guy from earlier. "I brought you here in order to tell you something," the man said as Sasuke looked away from him. "Not interested." "Huh? What if I told you that it's about Itachi Uchiha?" the man said as Sasuke's eyes drifted over to the figure. "That's right," the man said. "You think you know everything about your brother, but you actually don't." He spoke as he reached up to touch his mask. "Oh, alright, let me start with a self-intro. I am, like you, an Uchiha survivor." Naruto froze as his eyes narrowed, turning slightly red before he subsided his anger at knowing he could kick this guy's ass. Madara Uchiha. Naruto spat out venomously, but was surprised that he couldn't feel hate for the man, only anger and a small yet heavy amount of pity. The man's Madara's mask came halfway off, revealing Sharingan eye. "And the one who knows the truth about Itachi Uchiha," Madara said almost smugly as Naruto rolled his eyes. Sasuke's Sharingan spun into existence, creating black flames that leapt onto Madara's arms, setting him aflame, while Sasuke gasped and clutched at his eyes as it cried bloods of tears. "Holy crap!" Naruto blurted out, not having expected that. "Where did that come from?" Madara dashed into the darkness, panting heavily as Sasuke's Sharingan faded back to his normal way. What was that?" Sasuke rasped out as Madara was still in the shadows. The Amaterasu, which Itachi seemed to have implanted in you. Madara said, almost as if pondering something while Sasuke's eyes went wide. Madara hand reached down, grasping the mask as he re-emerged into the light. A second later, re-affixing the mask to his face. Leave it to Itachi to set a post-mortem trap. I can't believe how well he plans ahead. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he gazed up at Mother. What are you talking about? Naruto, however, chosen to frown. He couldn't see where this was going. In order to kill me, Itachi placed a jutsu on you, or at least to keep me away from you. He probably set it so that the Amaterasu would automatically activate when you saw my Sharingan. Madara said as he glanced up at the rocky ceiling. So that was Itachi's last trick, huh? Too bad it didn't work. What are you talking about? Sasuke retorted as Naruto too was curious about this. Itachi must have done something to you before he died, Madara said as Sasuke's eyes widened. At the very end, he transferred his own ocular powers to you. Madara explained as Sasuke stared at him in shock. What are you trying to say? Sasuke said as his mouth was going dry from his fear of the answer. What exactly is your point? Don't you get it? Madara demanded as he gazed at Sasuke. Itachi did it to protect you. Naruto remained silent but did remember that it was always Itachi's intention to protect Sasuke, so he'd wait and see how all this played out. I repeat, the masked man said that was Madara known by now. You do not know everything about your brother. You're lying, Sasuke said coldly. I'll kill you. You're not gonna make this easy, are you? Madara queried dryly as he held up his hands. Understandable. You don't trust me. You don't know me. But what I am about to tell you is the truth. Would you listen? Itachi didn't mention it. No, he was not alone that night when the massacre happened. Madara said as he gave a graceful bow. I am Madara Uchiha. Madara said, revealing his identity. Sasuke froze as Naruto rolled his eyes. I know everything about Itachi. Even Itachi himself did not know of so much, Madara said smugly as Naruto noticed as the man walked up to Sasuke. Naruto also noticed Sasuke's hand clenched over to the blankets while an enraged expression took over his face. Shut up! None of that matters. Get out of here. I don't need you. I've done what I could. I've got my revenge. And all that is matters. Naruto was about to roll his eyes, but he felt the world speed up around him again. He didn't know or care why, but he was sure there was a reason to it, though he was quickly getting tired of it. Unknown cliff area. Now Naruto found that he was standing on a cliff with Sasuke, Madara and 3 other peoples who Naruto couldn't place. Sasuke stood up on the rocks watching the sunrise and the waves as they crashed upon the shore. He was alone. Naruto's head whipped around as he heard a disembodied voiceover. He wondered where it was coming from, because he had to fight you and die in front of you. But Naruto turned to Madara since that was the man's voice that he heard over him. That was what he truly needed. For the peace of Konoha, and most of all for you, Sasuke, he desired to die a criminal and a traitor. But it doesn't have to be that way. Accepting disgrace in place of honor, and hate in place of love, and Itachi died with a smile on his face. We can change it. He bequeathed to you the Uchiha name, still fooling you to the very end. I'm not fooled any longer. Naruto heard from Sasuke, yet he knew Sasuke wasn't speaking, because the voice had come from over them and not Sasuke. Was that Sasuke thought being broadcasted to him? Sorry, Sasuke. Was that just Itachi's voice? Wasn't he supposed to be dead in this version? This is it. Tears ran down Sasuke's face like a river as he streamed and stared at the sun, with no emotion in his gaze. So, Madara started quietly as he gazed up at Sasuke. Now what? Sasuke was quiet for a moment but answered, not even bothering to look to anyone, as he continued to staring at the sun. No longer are we Hibi, the snake. From now on we are the hawk. We are Taka, Sasuke said with conviction. Naruto smiled a bit, sure that Sasuke would be returning to Konoha, a hero like Itachi wanted. The wind blew coldly and biting, with Sasuke was not even flinching as he stared aimlessly into the sun. Naruto was kind of hoping the bastard eye burned out with the way he was just staring like that. Taka shall have but one motive, till we exist. Sasuke started as Naruto was sure it was something to aid Konoha, to destroy Konoha. Naruto froze. Where the hell did that option even came from? Itachi wanted him to be a hero to the village, not go and destroy the damn thing. The Mangekyo Sharingan in Sasuke's eyes spun rapidly as he, Madara, and the three behind them leapt off the cliff and vanished. Naruto went pale white, while the world went dark. Suddenly he found himself back in Konoha, children racing down the streets, adults, teens greeting him kindly, and old people yelling at the youth of the village. Just as normal as he could get. Except they all were in the same places they were when he had frozen to his spot. Did all of that really just happen? He needed a drink. Link break. End of the long ass flashback. Sasuke, after hearing everything Naruto had said, slumped into his chair, eyes widened, glassy, and devoid of any form of emotion. Other than shock, was it all true? From start to finish, Naruto wasn't one to lie to him. And even if he did, Naruto was one of the worst liars in the history of the world. So, Naruto was telling the truth, but is it true Itachi killed my clan because they were going to revolt against Konoha and Fire Country? Sasuke said or asked as his throat dried from fear to the answer. Naruto only nodded slowly as he kept soft gaze on Sasuke. He was sure that just like he was when Hiyashi and Jiraiya had told him of his father, Sasuke was being thrown out of a whack and that everything he knew he was now questioning. Sasuke for the most part was trying to handle the information as calmly and coolly as possible. He was trying to wrap his head around all of it, from his supposed epic battle with Itachi to his declaring war on Konoha. He went pale at thinking about how dark and cold Naruto had described him. It just couldn't be true, and yet it all made some seemable of sense of logic. Had he really been that blind to Itachi's real true self? Naruto watched as Sasuke paled and clasped his head. He wanted to help the poor bastard, but decided that Sasuke had to come to his own conclusions about what he had been told. Sasuke, Naruto said as the boy slowly lifted his gaze to Naruto. I want him here. I don't care how it gets done or who does it, but I want him here standing opposite of me so I can ask him myself. If what you say is true, then I want him back, if only to beat the hell out of him. But I want him back afterwards. I want the village to know. But for now, I need some time to think. Sasuke said as Naruto only nodded absent-mindedly. How the hell could Sasuke formulate all that while he felt the way he looked, which was too good? Tora, Naruto called as Tora Anbu jumped from the ceiling in a kneeling position aside Sasuke. Take Sasuke home. He had a rough day. Naruto said as he leaned back in his seat. Sasuke and Tora nodded as they disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Boar? Naruto called as the boar Anbu appeared from the corner shadow of his office. Watch Sasuke. He was unstable as it was, but now he is even more so. Be sure to inform Tora and the Ox that they are to take this mission as well. Do not allow him to know you're watching him. Understood? Naruto said as she bowed. Of course, Hokage-sama. She replied as he gave her a look as stern as steel and cold as ice. She had planned to have the Uchiha find them due to his genius, but now that was not an option. The way his look promised pain unknown to the world, yet she teleported away before he could convey a threat to match his expression, much to his mirth. I'll have to deal with her defiance one of these days, but not today, Naruto said as he got from behind his desk and opened his door. Next please, Naruto said as Kakashi gave a nice smile to Ino, who had crossed her arms and pouted. Kakashi entered Naruto's office as he sat the wooden chair with a slightly shocked expression. Now, as for you, Naruto began as Kakashi gulped quietly at the look that promised a word, lashing for the copy ninja that he was in. Link break. Iniwa Gakure or the village hidden in the rocks. The send them to Tsuchikage paced his village office, barely listening as the Anbu gave their reports. His mind was on the file and photo he had received mysteriously. And that's how it went, Tsuchikage-sama. The bored Anbu explained, trying with no great success to keep the surprise out of his voice. But we tried our best to capture him, sir. The god Anbu continued for his partner. He just kind of slipped through our fingers. That's right. His partner added, it's actually pretty amazing that he could get into this place like that, and with no one stopping him. The woman next to them muttered, causing them both to tense. Luckily for them, the Tsuchikage didn't even seem to hurt them, being so lost in a thought. After several painful, silent seconds, he turned his attention to the woman. Kurtsuchi-chan, you must have met Zetsu of the Akatsuki in person before. Can you say with absolute certain that it was him? The Tsuchikage asked as the woman shook her head. Unfortunately, Tsuchikage-sama, he disappeared before I could get a good look at him. Although I know that the Venus flytrap around his head was the same, and he did disappear into the ground underneath. Of that I can be certain, the girl Kurotsuchi replied as she put her hand on her chin in a thinking manner. The Tsuchikage sighed as he collapsed heavily into his chair and placed his head in his hand. He'd been waiting for this day every day for the last 15 odd years. The pleasure of knowing that he alone had been right all along was only outweighed by the even greater pleasure of getting to see the looks on the faces of the village council of his. Snarl, they had called him. Ha! Snarl like a fox, perhaps. Of course, the fact that his most hated of enemies was not alive, but instead had a child that grew up to become a Hokage at 13 years old, did a fine job of dampening his mood. And you bastard Minato, the Tsuchikage mused as he was thinking, that you could pull a fast one on me and my village behind all those years, while you actually had a son did became a Kage after you. Well, guess what? I just beat you at your own game, you little brat. You just couldn't keep your precious child hidden away. Couldn't stand going so long without antagonizing me. Well, now you have nothing to hide behind. If it wasn't for that agreement between our villages, I'd be your snot-nosed brat upside the head for all the headaches you gave me, you irresponsible little Oniki-ji-sama. The elder man blinked out as his mental rant as he looked up. What was that, Kurotsuchi? He gazed up at her, asking. I said before he vanished, I swore I heard him mention something about a ramen shop and then go to mist. She said as he jumped up from his seat and over his desk. Now that he was from behind his desk, we find that Oniki is an old man, weighing roughly the size of 1.5 times their Kage head. His facial features included a triangular head, triangular beard, and a mustache with an angular corners. He had a big red nose and thick rectangular shaped eyebrows. The top of his head is completely bald, although he had some white hair at the back and sides of his head, the back of which is tied with a yellow ribbon into a top knot. Oniki wears a unique green and yellow coat with red collar. Underneath he wears an Iwagakure flake jacket. The Tsuchikage blinked as he yelled, "A ramen shop?" Kurotsuchi shrugged. That's what it sounded like to me. Though it was odd, Oniki wouldn't have found it so odd. He had studied Minato well, and in his study of him and constant spying on the man, he found that the yellow flash brat had gone married the Uzumaki Kushina woman, who left ramen, salt ramen to be precise, if he remembered correctly. What if the boy had picked up the love for ramen, as his mother had? He still remembered why most of the village had needed repairs. Damn Kushina and her revolt and violent nature over ramen. Sir, the god Anbu spoke up. Is it all possible that one of our men may have done something that would warrant the Akatsuki to bring this to our attention? The Sandaime hummed, having not thought of that possibility. It was true that before and after Minato's death, he had issued several assassination attempts on him, and it was actually around the time this brat of a new Hokage was to be born. Maybe it was like one of those, "Look here, you failed to kill my father, now here I stand as Hokage before you, and what are you gonna do about it, huh?" God damn it. Now how he hated that cocky bastard Minato, his destructive and cocky family. I think that's a question for the interrogators to be asking. Oniki said after a brief pause to rant to himself. I want them in my office in 30 minutes or less. After that, you're to be round up the rest of the Anbu. Tell them I want positions taken up at all corners of the village at all times. If this Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki tries anything against our village, you all are to attack with extreme prejudice. Yes, sir. The two Anbu men replied, hoping against all hopes that neither of them ever saw the yellow flash's son, now or ever. And you, Kurtasuchi, he continued, turning his full attention to his only granddaughter. I want the members of the council notified at once about this. If they give you any brief or grief over it, tell them it's an S-class situation. Kurtasuchi bowed her head as she grinned slightly. Understood, grandfather. As the three turned for the door, an afterthought came to Orniki and sent out an official edict. From this day forward, ramen is banned from Iwagakure until further notice. The three froze in place as they slowly turned to the Santam Tsuchikage with hope in their eyes. Does this mean we can finally reopen all of your yakitori and tango stands, sir? The boar Anbu asked hopefully as he followed. Two nodded. Absolutely not. That's exactly what he wants us to do. Having a child who loves ramen, so we'll bring back his precious tangos and yakitori. I'm not falling for that, Onigi said as he sat back behind his desk and chuckled evilly. He wouldn't fall for any of that Minato brat's traps and plan like the others were. The two Anbu and Kurtsuchi hid their disappointment as they marched out of the office of their Tsuchikage. Their village was slowly running out of places to eat at, and if the Hokage ever came around with a sudden craving for sushi or okonomiyaki, the village might just starve to death. Link break. In Iwagakure, the hidden village in the mist. Is this true? Mei Terumi questioned as the shark masked Anbu in front of her nodded. Mei is a slender woman in her 30s. She had ankle-length, a burn hairstyle into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye and 2 are long, covering each side of her chest, just below her chin. Her eyes are light green. She dresses in a long-sleeve, dark blue dress that falls just below the knees. It seems to be closed at the front with a zip, and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covers up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her breast. Underneath, she wears a mesh shirt that covers more of her upper body than her dress, but stops short of covering her shoulders and still leaves a sizable cleavage. She also wears short in the same color as her dress, and underneath those mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she wears a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left. Furthermore, she wears high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees. She also wears dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, and is usually shown with dark blue lipstick. Yes, it is verified by a member of Akatsuki, though we could not capture and question him. He said as Mei merely nodded as she flipped through the files. Apparently a 13-year-old kid, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki had become Hokage of Konoha just a month after the death of the Santam Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. This was a true statement to the power of Konoha, to have such young Kage teen as the most powerful ninja. He had to be stronger than that Itachi boy was years ago. He must be something special to have been made Hokage so young. Mei mused, so she shut the file. But his ascension to that title must be contributed to him being from both the Uzumaki and Namikaze. Oh well, we need to plan our next move and do it carefully. I think that whoever is controlling Yagura-sama is suspicious of us. Tsukihime-kun, Mei said as she stored the file away. Yes, I do too. But how long can we keep this up? We will need help, and maybe this new Hokage boy can just do that. Tsukihime, the shark-masked Anbu, said as Mei sent him a strong look. No matter what happens or how long it takes, this is our problem, and we shall settle it ourselves. Yagura-sama has finally stopped the bloodline extermination war, but still lost. We, the ninja and people of Kiri, must be the ones to help him, not anyone else. We will not use outside help, Mei said as Tsukihime remembered her saying the same thing to the Akatsuki leader when he offered them help. Right, Mei-sama, Tsukihime said as he smiled under his mask and went to see if he could break whatever was controlling their Yonda Mizukage. In front, If not, then in a little under 4 years' time, they'd have to take measures into their own hands. I hope it doesn't come to that, Yagura-sama. Mei-sama, the shark-masked man said as he disappeared in a swirl of mist. Link break. In Kumogakure, or the village hidden in the clouds, the council of Kumo was in a deep silence as they had read the file that so suddenly dropped from the ceiling. After having Anbu checked everywhere and everything, including the file itself, they read it. To say they were shocked was an understatement. Konoha, a village known for its teaching of teamwork and the will of fire, had chosen to be ruled over by a teenager. Oh, but not just any teenager. Oh no. It was a 13-year-old named Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. They knew exactly what that meant. That the yellow flashed Minato Namikaze and the red hot-blooded habanero Kushina Uzumaki had conceived a child before their deaths. They could only imagine what the boy was capable of, giving his parents and their abilities. The kid had to be some sort of orange hokage by being their kid. Yet they had their own problems to deal with before ever thinking of dealing with Konoha. We must choose our own Raikage. We've been at this for months, and yet Konoha picked one. By the end of the same month, their Sandam Hokage tied in. A shinobi councilman shouted as he stood up. And we'll stay at it until we find the perfect choice for the position. Konoha were fools for picking so hastily. The kid may be powerful given his lineage, but he'll have them in ruins before they even know it. A civilian councilwoman countered as she stood as well. Now, let's not have those arguments now. We still must take care of our own village. So let's get back to that. Another ninja, the head cloud ninja to be exact, said as he waved his hands in a friendly manner. Both counselors glared at one another as they sat down. Now we must discuss the Anpu, link break in Sunagakure, or the village hidden in the sand. The Suna council was not pleased. In fact, they were almost the complete opposite because they were scared crapless. The very boy who had defeated Gaara and became Hokage, and while some of them were less scared than others, they were all pretty sure this was an omen. He defeated Gaara, who right now is one of our powerfulest ninjas in the village. Also, we have yet to give Konoha any sort of compensation for their mercy for not attacking us and allowing the alliance to stand. Baki, Gaara sensei said as the other council members nodded. Then we must think of something. If this Uzumaki defeated Gaara while the latter was in full Shikaku mode, then I'm sure he'll be most displeased to discover we were not trying to find a way of compensating his village. You all remember how the Yondam Hokage got when our Yondam Kazekage insulted his wife Kushina for being a Jinchuriki, an elder councilwoman said as they all shivered at the very thought of remembering. Kushina was scary, but with Minato right behind her, supporting her violent techniques, it was all hell, and every man, woman and child fought themselves that day in Suna. Wait! A female civilian councilwoman shouted in realization. Isn't he the last of his clans? I know for a fact that the Yellow Flash was the last of his, so I have a plan, she said with a smirk as Baki felt his head and body shiver. Whatever she was planning was the bad news for his living health. We're all ears. Please do tell us, Councilwoman. Link break. Back in Naruto's office, Kakashi was right. This was a tongue-lacing worse than Minato-sensei had given him about the dangers of the Rasengan. Naruto had been going on for about an hour now, and only now was he calming down. And if I ever hear about you questioning anything I say, do or even look at, you'll be do the Catch Tora mission until your grandchildren beg me or my successor to stop. Do you understand me? Naruto said as he leaned over his desk in Kakashi's face, even though Kakashi had tried to retreat back into his chair. Yes, I understand, Hokage-sama. No, Kakashi said as Naruto gave him an amused look, yet sighed and settled back into his chair. What is it you want to talk about, Kakashi? Naruto said as Kakashi almost flinched at not hearing Naruto say sensei after his name. I just wanted to hear and cleared the air of any misunderstanding that may have been conveyed to you, Hokage-sama. Kakashi said as Naruto gave him an irritated look. You know, I may be really angry with you right now, but you can still call me Naruto. Naruto said as Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief silently. This was good. Naruto was actually open to what he has to say. Okay, Naruto. I'm sure that someone from our conversation reported it by now, but I'd like to clear the air of what was said. You see, in a weakened state, I was a bit out of it. I said some things that might have been taken the wrong way. Kakashi said as Naruto had nodded and narrowed his eyes. Kakashi, I would hope you're not lying to me now. They'd be happening to me since the day I was born, and now that I'm starting to get the truth, I'd hate to be lied to my former sensei. Naruto says Kakashi heart sank at the word foreman. Of course not, Naruto. I will and always will tell you the truth. Kakashi says. Naruto gave him a searching look. Okay then. What do you think of me in these khaki robes and hat? Naruto says. Kakashi blinked his own visible eyes. Well, that was unexpected. To be honest, they do you well, but if I may ask, why are you always wearing them now? Minato Sensei didn't wear them. Kakashi said. Naruto said, my elder advisor said the Hokage should be distinguishable from his people. That was why the first two Hokage wore their armors from the clan wars always. Why the old man wore the robes, and why my dad wore that coat thing of his. Plus, I've been waiting nearly 9 years to put these on and sit behind this desk. Do you really think I'm giving it up so easily? Naruto says. Kakashi chuckled. I suppose not. Look, Naruto. I may have said some things, but they were either misinterpreted or my thoughts on them were far deeper than my words. Kakashi says. Naruto nodded. I understand, but you know what, Kakashi? You hurt me. When I was told that you thought that I was unfit to be Kage and that you thought Sasuke deserved it more than me, I was devastated. I thought you really did like Sasuke more than me. I mean, you can't really blame me for thinking along those lines with all the secrets, the special trainings, the lack of respect I got, and that the fact that you never really trained me. Hell, you even trained Sakura in traps and first aid while I got nothing. Naruto said as Kakashi hung his head in shame. Naruto, I'm sorry if you felt that way, but it wasn't true. In fact, if I didn't have a favorite student, it would be you. You're the best student a sensei could ask for. You're always cheerful, ready to learn anything, always trying to do your best and taking my teachings to heart and memory. The reason I trained Sasuke for that month was so he couldn't die in his fight against Gaara, but also to keep him far out of Orochimaru's way. The reason I trained Sakura in first stage was to boost her confidence as a member of our team, and so she wouldn't feel like a burden on you and Sasuke. Kakashi explained as Naruto leaned forward and listened. The reason I didn't train you was because Jiraiya-sama said to train Sasuke and that he train and look after you. I felt so proud the day he told me that one of my students becoming the apprentice to Jiraiya of the Sannin, and I do believe he'd done a great job in training you. Also, the reason I never trained you specifically was because you never had a need for these things. I was training to teach you three. You understand every lesson on teamwork and love for your comrades. You understand what the Wheel of Fire was, and for that I was satisfied. I thought that even before Jiraiya-sama that you would make a name for yourself without any help. That was the way my sensei had taught me. That it doesn't matter how many jutsu you teach your student. It only matters what life lessons they learn. Kakashi said as Naruto smiled for this phrase. I'm sorry if I hurt you, Naruto, but just look at where you are now without my help. You're the Gontama Hokage of Konoha. You did this without a single jutsu from me. You made it here using your own hard work and the life lessons I installed in you. And I am proud to you. Say that I'm proud of you. Okage-sama, Kakashi said as he got up from his chair and bowed. Naruto smiled even more as he heard that Kakashi was proud of him. That was all he really wanted, for his precious people to be proud of him, to acknowledge him. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said as Kakashi smiled back at him. He didn't know until then how much he liked hearing Naruto call him sensei, but Naruto started as he gave Kakashi a stern look. If you ever, and I mean ever, do something like that again, if you ever late when I call you for whatever reason, I'll have you clean the Akamichi clan's toilet until even the Yuga clan can't even spot a unclean spot. Do you understand me, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said sternly as Kakashi paled. He had known some of the sun time and had punished like that before. It wasn't not pretty or smelled well either. Of course, Okage-sama, Kakashi said as he scrambled to his feet and saluted Naruto. Now get out of my office, Naruto said chucklingly and pointing at the door. Kakashi literally ran from the office faster than even White Guy knew possible. The people outside Naruto's office watched the dust cloud that was Kakashi in the distance, with wide eyes as their eyes slowly trailed back to a now smirking Naruto in the doorway. Next, please, Naruto said as his smirking turned to a grin as Ino gulped and walked in nervously. Oh, how payback was a bitch. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part, guys. I hope you like this one. And if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And guys, I will be uploading the next part of What If Naruto Was Turned into a Girl today as well. I hope you stay tuned for that. This is Apollo Uchiha and I'm signing out. Peace.